Oh my god, did you see what just happened? John Cena just absolutely eviscerated Logan Paul on SmackDown in what might be the most brutal verbal destruction we've seen in years. And if you think this was just another typical WWE promo, you're about to find out why this moment is going to be talked about for decades. Because what Cena just did to Logan Paul wasn't just a promo, it was a complete character assassination that exposed everything fake about Paul's entire WWE run. But here's what's going to make you absolutely furious: Logan Paul actually thought he could go toe-to-toe with the greatest of all time on the microphone. This YouTuber-turned-wrestler actually believed his own hype enough to think he could match John Cena in a war of words, and what happened next was the most one-sided verbal beatdown in recent WWE history. And by the time I'm done breaking down every single devastating line from Cena's promo, you're going to understand why Logan Paul might have just made the biggest mistake of his entire WWE career. The audacity of Logan Paul to even think he could hang with John Cena on the microphone is absolutely mind-blowing. This is the same guy who built his entire career on YouTube pranks and cryptocurrency scams, and he had the nerve to step into the ring with someone who has been cutting promos longer than Paul has been alive. What we witnessed on SmackDown wasn't just a promo battle, it was a masterclass in why John Cena is still the most dangerous man on the microphone in all of professional wrestling. Let me break down exactly what happened, because if you blinked, you might have missed the moment Logan Paul's entire WWE credibility went up in flames. Paul came out first, doing his typical arrogant routine, talking about how he's revolutionizing WWE and bringing in new audiences. The same tired talking points we've heard from every celebrity wrestler who thinks they're God's gift to sports entertainment. But then Cena's music hit, and you could literally feel the entire arena shift because everyone knew they were about to witness something special. Cena walked down that ramp with a look in his eyes that I haven't seen since his feuds with CM Punk and The Rock. This wasn't the smiling, wave to the crowd John Cena we sometimes see. This was the ruthless, take no prisoners version of Cena that built his legacy on destroying anyone who dared question his position in this business. And when he grabbed that microphone, you could see Logan Paul's confidence just evaporate because he knew he was about to get schooled by a true legend. Here's what made Cena's promo absolutely devastating: he didn't just attack Logan Paul's wrestling ability or his celebrity status. He went straight for the throat by calling out everything that makes Paul a hypocrite and a fraud. Cena talked about how Paul claims to respect WWE and the wrestling business, but then turns around and treats it like just another content opportunity for his social media empire. He called out Paul's fake respect for the veterans, his manufactured storylines, and most brutally, his complete lack of understanding about what it means to be a WWE superstar. But the moment that had me absolutely losing my mind was when Cena said, and I quote, "Logan, you came into my house, disrespected my business, and thought you could buy your way into respect that I've been earning for over 20 years. The way he delivered that line with such intensity and conviction, you could see Logan Paul literally shrinking in the corner because he knew every single word was truth. And then Cena went nuclear. He started breaking down Paul's entire character piece by piece, talking about how Paul represents everything that's wrong with modern celebrity culture. How he's a fake influencer who built his career on controversy and scandal, and now he's trying to use WWE as a way to rehabilitate his image and make himself look legitimate. The crowd was going absolutely insane because finally, someone was saying what we've all been thinking since Logan Paul first stepped foot in a WWE ring. What made this promo even more incredible was how Cena connected Paul's behavior to the bigger problems in society today. He wasn't just cutting a wrestling promo, he was delivering a social commentary about fake influencers, manufactured celebrity, and people who think money and social media followers can buy them respect in industries they've never truly committed to. It was absolutely brilliant storytelling that elevated this feud far beyond typical WWE drama. The look on Logan Paul's face during this verbal assault was priceless. You could see him trying to maintain his cocky persona, but with every devastating line from Cena, Paul looked more and more like someone who was completely out of his depth. This is supposed to be a guy who made millions of dollars being confident and charismatic on camera, but when faced with John Cena at his absolute best, Paul looked like a deer caught in headlights. But here's where it gets even more intense: Cena didn't just attack Paul's character, he systematically destroyed every argument Paul has made for why he deserves to be in WWE. When Paul talks about bringing in new audiences, Cena fired back by pointing out that real WWE superstars don't need to rely on their outside fame to get over with the crowd. When Paul claimed he's evolved as a wrestler, Cena brutally reminded everyone that having a few good matches doesn't erase years of treating wrestling like a joke. The most savage moment came when Cena addressed Paul's social media following directly. He said something like, "You think your followers make you relevant in my world? Kid, I was main eventing WrestleMania when you were still figuring out how to work a camera." The crowd absolutely erupted because they knew they were witnessing one of the greatest verbal takedowns in WWE history. What makes this promo even more significant is that it represents John Cena at a completely different stage of his career. This isn't the Cena who was trying to be the company's top babyface and had to watch his words carefully. This is Cena as the grizzled veteran who has earned the right to speak his mind without worrying about corporate politics or public relations concerns. And that version of John Cena is absolutely terrifying for anyone who wants to step up and challenge his legacy. The way Cena systematically broke down every aspect of Logan Paul's WWE career was like watching a master surgeon at work. He talked about Paul's matches and pointed out how they were carefully constructed to hide his weaknesses and maximize his strengths, but that when it comes to a real test against someone like Cena, all of those smoke and mirrors disappear. He called out Paul's reliance on spectacular spots and celebrity cameos instead of actual wrestling psychology and storytelling. But the moment that had me jumping out of my seat was when Cena got personal. He started talking about Paul's past controversies, his failed business ventures, his reputation for being fake and manipulative with his audience. Cena essentially said that Paul represents everything that's wrong with modern celebrity culture, the idea that you can buy your way into respect, that controversy equals relevance, and that social media popularity translates to real-world credibility. Logan Paul tried to fire back, and oh my god, it was embarrassing. Whatever comeback he attempted just sounded weak and pathetic compared to the absolute fire that Cena was spitting. Paul's usual cocky persona completely crumbled under the weight of Cena's verbal assault. You could see him struggling to find words, stumbling over his responses, and looking completely overwhelmed by the intensity that Cena was bringing to this confrontation. The crowd's reaction throughout this entire segment was electric. They were hanging on every word that came out of Cena's mouth, and every time he landed a particularly devastating blow against Paul, the arena just exploded with approval. This is what happens when you have a true master of the microphone going up against someone who is completely out of their league in a verbal confrontation. What made this promo even more incredible was how Cena tied it all back to the wrestling business and what it means to be a legitimate WWE superstar. He talked about the sacrifices he's made, the years of grinding and earning respect from his peers and the audience. He contrasted that with Paul's approach of trying to shortcut the process by using his outside fame and wealth to skip ahead of wrestlers who have been working their entire lives for opportunities that Paul just gets handed to him. The most powerful moment came when Cena talked about legacy and what it means to truly represent WWE. He said that when his career is over, people will remember him for his dedication, his work ethic, and his respect for the business. But Paul? Cena suggested that Paul will be remembered as nothing more than a social media stunt that WWE used to generate temporary buzz before moving on to the next celebrity distraction. And then Cena delivered what might be the most devastating line of the entire promo when he said, "Logan, I warned you I would be back, but I never warned you what I would do to your reputation when I got here." The way he delivered that line with such menace and conviction, you could feel the entire arena holding its breath because they knew they had just witnessed something legendary. The psychological warfare that Cena employed in this promo was absolutely brilliant. He didn't just attack Paul's wrestling ability or his character, he attacked the very foundation of Paul's confidence and self-image. By systematically breaking down every argument Paul has used to justify his place in WWE, Cena essentially left him with nothing to stand on. It was like watching someone pull away all the supports holding up a building and then watching it collapse. But here's what makes this situation even more intense: this promo has completely changed the dynamics of their potential feud. Before tonight, you could argue that Logan Paul had some legitimate points about bringing new audiences to WWE and evolving as a performer. But after Cena's verbal destruction, Paul is going to have to completely rebuild his credibility if he wants to be taken seriously in any future confrontation. The way Cena exposed Paul's insecurities was masterful. He pointed out how Paul always needs validation from social media, how he can't handle criticism, and how he's built his entire career on manufactured controversy rather than genuine talent or hard work. These aren't just wrestling character attacks, these are personal observations that cut to the core of who Logan Paul is as a person. What absolutely killed me was watching Paul's body language throughout this entire segment. At the beginning, he was doing his typical cocky poses and smirking at the crowd. But as Cena's promo intensified, you could literally watch Paul's confidence drain away. By the end, he looked like someone who had been completely broken down and didn't know how to respond to the level of verbal violence he had just experienced. The brilliance of Cena's approach was that he didn't just rely on insults or cheap shots. Everything he said was backed up by facts and legitimate criticisms of Paul's approach to the wrestling business. When Paul tries to respond to this promo, what is he going to say? That Cena is wrong about his lack of dedication? That his social media following does translate to wrestling credibility? That he's paid the same dues as someone who has been grinding for over 2 decades? This promo also showcased why John Cena is considered one of the greatest talkers in WWE history. The way he controlled the pace, built the intensity, and delivered each line for maximum impact, it was like watching a masterpiece being painted in real time. Every word was carefully chosen, every pause was strategically placed, and every gesture reinforced the devastating message he was delivering. But let's talk about what this means for Logan Paul's future in WWE, because this promo might have just ended his credibility as a serious competitor. How do you come back from getting verbally destroyed like that by someone of Cena's stature? How do you rebuild your character after having every aspect of your WWE persona systematically torn apart by one of the greatest of all time? The crowd's reaction tells you everything you need to know about how this promo was received. They weren't just cheering for Cena, they were celebrating the fact that someone had finally said what needed to be said about Logan Paul's place in WWE. For months, fans have been frustrated with Paul's push and his treatment as a legitimate main event player, and Cena gave voice to all of those concerns in the most brutal way possible. What makes this even more devastating for Paul is that this promo is going to be replayed and analyzed for years to come. Every time someone wants to make an argument about celebrity wrestlers or outsiders coming into WWE, they're going to reference this moment when John Cena completely obliterated Logan Paul's credibility. This isn't just a promo, it's going to become part of wrestling history. The way Cena connected Paul's WWE career to his broader pattern of behavior as a content creator was absolutely genius. He basically argued that Paul treats everything in his life, including WWE, as content for his social media empire rather than something he's genuinely passionate about. And when you look at Paul's approach to wrestling through that lens, it makes his entire WWE run seem fake and calculated. But here's what's going to make Logan Paul's situation even worse: this promo is going to follow him for the rest of his WWE career. Every time he cuts a promo or tries to build credibility with the audience, people are going to remember the night John Cena completely destroyed his character on live television. It's going to be impossible for Paul to escape the shadow of this verbal beatdown. The most incredible aspect of this entire situation is that Cena delivered this promo with such conviction and passion that it felt completely authentic rather than scripted. This didn't sound like someone reading lines written by the creative team, this sounded like John Cena speaking from his heart about his genuine feelings toward Logan Paul and what he represents in the wrestling business. And let's be honest about what this promo represents for John Cena's own legacy. At this stage of his career, he doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. He could coast on his reputation and collect easy paychecks for special appearances. But instead, he came back with the intensity and passion of someone who still cares deeply about the wrestling business and wants to protect it from people who don't show it proper respect. The technical aspects of Cena's promo delivery were also absolutely flawless. His timing, his inflection, his use of pauses for dramatic effect, everything was perfectly executed to create maximum emotional impact. This is what separates true masters of the microphone from people who just happen to be good talkers. Cena didn't just deliver lines, he created an experience that had the entire arena on the edge of their seats. What's going to be absolutely fascinating is seeing how Logan Paul responds to this verbal destruction. Does he try to fire back with his own promo and risk getting destroyed again? Does he take a more humble approach and admit that Cena was right about some of his criticisms? Or does he try to avoid direct confrontation and hope that people forget about how badly he got owned on this night? The psychological impact of this promo on Logan Paul cannot be overstated. Having your character and your credibility systematically destroyed by someone of John Cena's stature in front of a live audience and millions of viewers, that's the kind of thing that can shake someone's confidence for months or even years to come. But here's what makes me absolutely furious about some of the reactions I'm seeing online. There are actually people trying to defend Logan Paul and criticize Cena for being too harsh. Are you kidding me? This is professional wrestling. This is supposed to be intense, passionate, and emotionally investing. If you can't handle someone getting verbally destroyed in a promo battle, then maybe wrestling isn't for you. The beauty of what Cena accomplished with this promo is that he managed to articulate frustrations that many longtime wrestling fans have been feeling but couldn't quite put into words. The sense that Logan Paul represents a trend toward celebrity involvement that diminishes the achievements of wrestlers who have dedicated their entire lives to this business. Cena gave voice to those concerns in the most powerful way possible. This promo also serves as a reminder of why John Cena became such a polarizing figure during his main event run. When he's motivated and passionate about something, there's literally nobody in the wrestling business who can match his intensity and conviction on the microphone. The same qualities that made some fans tired of his character during his championship runs are exactly what made this promo so devastating. The ripple effects of this promo are going to be felt throughout the entire wrestling industry. Every celebrity or influencer who thinks about getting involved in wrestling is going to have to consider whether they're prepared to face this level of scrutiny and criticism. Cena essentially raised the bar for what it means to earn respect in the wrestling business. What absolutely amazes me is how Cena managed to make this promo feel both personal and universal at the same time. Yes, he was specifically targeting Logan Paul, but everything he said applies to a broader conversation about authenticity, respect, and what it means to truly commit to something rather than just treating it as another opportunity for content creation. The crowd's sustained reaction throughout this entire segment proves that this promo connected on a deep emotional level with the WWE audience. They weren't just reacting to good lines or clever insults, they were responding to someone expressing genuine passion about something they care deeply about. That's the kind of authenticity that creates truly memorable wrestling moments. So here's what I want to know from all of you watching this video: do you think John Cena went too far in his verbal destruction of Logan Paul, or do you think Paul deserved every single word of that brutal promo? Do you believe this moment represents everything that's wrong with celebrity involvement in wrestling, or do you think Cena was being unfair to someone who has genuinely tried to improve as a performer? And most importantly, How do you think Logan Paul should respond to getting completely obliterated by one of the greatest talkers in WWE history? Because let me tell you something, what we witnessed on SmackDown wasn't just another promo segment. This was a defining moment that's going to be talked about for years to come, as the night John Cena reminded everyone why he's considered one of the most dangerous men on the microphone in all of professional wrestling. And if you think Logan Paul's WWE career is the same after this verbal beatdown, you're absolutely delusional. Sound off in the comments below and let me know your thoughts on this absolutely incredible promo that has the entire wrestling world talking.